Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom, and welcome to another episode of the Just Seen podcast, another impromptu pop-up. Today, I want to be talking about misogynistic women. In light of recent events, it's something that's been heavy on my mind, and it's like I watched the full circle of shit happen. You feel what I mean? And it's one thing to always address that, you can have, black, white supremacists, but can you have misogynistic women? Like women who hate women equally as men hate women. And it's a lot that goes into that culture. It's a lot that goes into that mentality, but I started to see a lot of double standards. I seen a lot of double standards. I seen a lot of pure hatred. I seen a lot of everything from women to women. I get it. I get the men doing the shit. It's misogyny. The fuck? Like, I get how they responded to certain shit. But some of the shit that I seen, some of the shit that I heard, some of the shit that I read of women saying to women, it was startling to me because it was like, damn, y'all think like men. Y'all think like men. And for some people, it was like, oh, that's a pick-me mentality. They're on that pick-me mentality when, I don't give a fuck what the situation is or what caused you to be in that space. If that's how you truly, genuinely feel about certain women, then that's, your prerogative and shit, Bobby Christina, but whatever, rest in peace. But those things kind of got me thinking, like, where is this so-called sisterhood at? Is this sisterhood conditional? Does this sisterhood include all sisters? Or is this sisterhood a lot of times just misogynistic women who don't want to accept that they're misogynist? Because the shit gets ugly. It gets ugly. Because, like, some of the shit that I've heard women say to other women or about other women during this time is like, bruh, if a man were to say that shit, me too would be all over that motherfucker. You feel what I'm saying? But it's like, I've heard it all, disgraceful, dusty, whores. Whore's been my favorite one. I ain't gonna hold you. Like, I don't know what it is about that word, but it's just like, it's funny to hear. It's funny to say, like, whores. Like, that's the only word in our vocabulary, in our dictionary, in our diction as black people that we say all the way through. And we say with emphasis like Caucasian people. Whores. But nah, this is going to be a very serious podcast episode. You feel what I'm saying? But before I get heavy into it, as always, be sure to follow me on Instagram at _just_seen_. Be sure to visit my website, imjustseen.com, and that will take you to everything that is Just Seen, from the merch, the podcast, the books, and the courses. They're all listed there. Be sure to donate. First, before I say that, thank you for everyone who donates, tips, and sponsors. That was rude of me. Thank you to everyone who donates, tips, and sponsors. If you would like to become a sponsor, a donator, or a tipper, you could do so by clicking the description of your podcast. Cash App and PayPal is fine. I don't think there's much more that I could say. So without further ado, we're going to hop into an impromptu pop-up called Misogynistic Women. Oh yeah, and don't forget to visit imjustseen.com. There, you can get all things Just Seen. You want to add the So Frail series to your library? Visit imjustseen.com. You want to learn how to master the market for serious trading and investing? Visit imjustseen.com. You want to get your hands on some exclusive merch like tees, hoodies, coffee mugs, hats, bags? Visit imjustseen.com. Are you thinking about transitioning into the plant-based lifestyle? Visit imjustseen.com. You ever want to just chat with Seen about anything from simple advice to mentorship? Visit imjustseen.com. Anything and everything that is me, you can find at imjustseen.com. So just take a quick peek into my world and see why being just seen is nothing less but always more. Because you never really know what you need until you see it. You will never see it unless you visit imjustseen.com. All right, welcome back. So, what is a misogynistic woman? You feel what I'm saying? Is it a double negative? Like, because, misogyny is in its own is, being who hates women, you know? Then you have a being who hates women that hates women. That is a woman. It's like, damn, is a misogynistic woman a form of self-hate? In essence, though, like when you really think about it, though, is a misogynistic woman like a real nigga? You feel what I'm saying? Like real niggas, like they hate niggas. They don't fuck with niggas. Niggas is bitches and all that shit. Like, you feel me? Like, kind of like a black white supremacist. You feel what I'm saying? But is a misogynistic woman a real thing? Or is she, one who's setting a standard to make it, to be above reproach or above a certain thing to make women elevate? I don't know. All I could do is just have this conversation because I seen so much shit just happened within the last few days of just women just like, yo. And then, right, when you had the term misogynoir, right, the hatred of black women and shit, then you have misogynoirist women. It's like, whoa, cuz, like, damn it, Bobby, you really on that type time? But it got me wondering. Like, what is this? Because some people say, well, it's the pick me thing when you align with the thoughts of men who feel a certain way. Like, I really don't want to spend much time on the men who were talking about the shit, because it's like, that's what we do. That's when we want, when the pussy we want don't want us, we don't like it. So what's the case with the women? You feel what I'm saying? Like, for men, it's as simple as that. When the pussy don't want us, we don't like that woman anymore. That's when our misogyny kicks in. But with a woman, it's different. It's different because it's like, damn, at what point can women be women? Like, they can't even be women with women. Like, you know what I'm saying? You have to be this type of woman. Like, you can't call yourself a queen. You can't call yourself a goddess. Like, you feel what I'm saying? If we want to keep it all the way above, like, we get so wrapped up in these fucking kings and queens and all of this shit, and we think we set the standard for the shit, not realizing what the fuck they really are. Like, a queen has no dominion over her. Like, let's keep that above. Sex is a part of that dominion. If she want to go out and suck, fuck, lick, and get stuck and all of that shit, she can do that as a queen. A goddess, same shit. Hell, a god, you feel me? Most of the gods that we know are vengeful, wrathful, and jealous motherfuckers. So, like, and then they fuck humans. So what the fuck? Like, what do we call that? What do we do with that shit? You feel what I'm saying? So it's like, they say shit like, yeah, these women, they're whores. They're just this. They're like, and it's like, where does that rhetoric come from? I personally feel that it's still within religious indoctrination and shit like that. Now, let me go ahead and give you this disclaimer first before I go on, start talking. Because the question is going to come up. It always comes up when I have these conversations. What about your daughter? For one, I hope that, the way I bring my daughter up or whatever case, she doesn't do shit like that. You feel what I'm saying? But at the same time, she's her own individual person. If she does shit like that, she does shit like that. But I will also prepare my daughter to be able to understand the consequences of the world, the consequences of her actions. You feel what I'm saying? I'm not gonna be that. I'm not gonna be the father who has to be a strict tyrant and, she can't do this. No, she's gonna know every bit of the game. And if she still loses that motherfucker, that's totally on her. That's totally on her because she's still her individual person. Will I be there now? Will I condemn her, chastise her, disown her, no shit like that? Fuck no. Like, yo, baby girl, daddy's gonna talk to you because daddy told you. Now, you gotta eat that. You gotta eat your consequences. You fucked with a fuck boy. You did these things. You feel what I'm saying? You gotta eat that. So, in that regard, yeah, my daughters are gonna have the whole game laid out for them, but not for them to be in fear of living their life. You feel what I'm saying? If that's what they choose to do, go for it, because society is gonna do whatever, it's gonna have whatever impact it has. But I will set the standard and the tone for society just to have an impact on my daughter, not an influence. You feel what I'm saying? And I think that's what a lot of this shit ties into, the influence that women have over themselves, and the influence that they see that it can go on. But I'm not talking in the same regard though. I'm not talking about my daughter. I'm talking about grown ass women. You feel what I'm saying? I know my daughter is eventually gonna grow up to become a grown woman, but first my daughter has to enter the world. Okay, let's deal with that shit. Let's not just get so hypothetical that we haven't even, looked at the reality. You dig? But it's like I watched both sides of the shit, right? I watch women condone and, say, yeah, I'm a hoe his life and shit like that. I watch that. And then at the same time, I watch women just, belittle and berate and say, that's why these women, and it gets to the point where it's like, you know, is that misogyny speaking? You feel me? It's like I gotta ask women these questions sometimes. It's like, do you really feel the way that you feel because you feel that way? Or have you aligned with certain principles? I've heard it all was because daddies ain't in the home. There's fatherless children and everything like that. That's bullshit. You feel me? Not on any funny shit. Like, and this is what get me, because people like, yo, she has to be an upstanding religious woman, or, her father was, has to be in the home to, I'm not like, I talk about my past. Some of the nastiest women, and I don't mean nasty as in like the negative nasty. Some of the nastiest, freakiest, sex craving, sexually liberated women have had fathers in their home and have been heavily religious. So as those 2 points being the guide for the moral compass, I don't think that's, and then the sad part and the ironic part is on the other side of that. The women who didn't have fathers in the home were more reserved, were the ones who, in my experience, the ones who didn't have, wasn't just busting it open freely. The ones who actually had some kind of reserve, the women who didn't really fuck with religion heavy, they seem to not get wrapped up in that shit anymore. So it's like, I get it. It sounds good talking about it on paper, but I have to go off the reality that I've lived. I've been with a lot of women, pre-celibacy and shit. Like, I've been with a lot of women. And when I put the 2 and 2 together, the women that actually had some kind of moral compass about this shit, about, just not fucking all crazy and having self-control and the discipline and all of that shit, they were the women who were not attached to shit and didn't have fathers in the home. Ironically. So for me, that argument is null and void. That argument is null and void. Now, I will say, the ones who do have the fathers in the home, the ones who are heavily religious or involved in some kind of, spiritual practice, so to speak. And when I say spiritual practice, I'm really not referring to spirituality. I'm referring to the ideology that people have created some kind of religious construct around something and call it spirituality. Those are typically the women who hold themselves to this high standard of but behind closed doors, they be the biggest freaks. They be the nastiest ones. They be the ones doing the shit that these songs are made about. So that's what get me. They be like, they'll tell you some shit like, if I get the right man, I'll act right, or he'll see all it like. So that's in you. It shows it's in you. You feel what I'm saying? So why is it condemnation towards the women who are like, yo, this is already in us, let it out? You feel me? Now, I don't condone that shit on any level for men or women, like just to be frivolously fucking and doing all this wild shit. But if that's what you do, Nike, motherfucker, just do it. Do your thing. Like, that's how you live. You feel what I'm saying? But I'm learning a lot about, women that I never really looked at like that before. It's like, yo, a lot of women are misogynists, bro. A lot of women are heavy misogynists, bro and sis, because I know who, is collective listening to this right now. But they're heavily misogynistic. You know what I'm saying? If it's almost like this, right? If you strip the details of a real nigga, right? If you strip the details of a real nigga, a gang member and shit like that, they shoot niggas, they do all of this shit. Like, it ain't no difference than a cop. You feel what I'm saying? So if you pull back all of the details and you just listen to the shit that a misogynistic woman is saying, she sounds like a misogynistic man. Ain't no difference. You feel me? It ain't no difference. So I be wondering, like, where y'all get this shit from? Where y'all get this shit from? Oh, women are supposed to be like, they're like, yo, sexuality doesn't mean be a hoe. It don't. It don't. I'm not saying sexuality does, but at the same time, sexuality is embracing the duality within sex. I don't think people get that. Sex is raunchy. Sex is peaceful. Sex is destructive. Sex is creative. You feel me? The duality, it is not picking a side and choosing which to go with. It's embracing both pieces in harmony. Why can't women do that? Women are automatic. Like, if they even embrace, sexuality like that, it's a condemnation. It's like, no, you don't do that shit. Like, fuck. And then now we got to deal with the shit like women. Oh, I've never had an orgasm. Or nigga can't, like, you gotta, like, cause you're not free enough to make yourself come. You're not free enough to get a nut. You feel what I'm saying? There's that liberation there. Now, like I said, going back into the women that I've, like, the ones who I was able to make, let it loose, were the ones who didn't feel a type of way about themselves, who didn't feel like, this is wrong. This is wrong. Sex is a creative act. Are you using it to create or destroy? At the end of the day. So it's like, when it comes to the women speaking on that, I get it. If you pull a shorty to the side and shit, give her some game, but nobody's giving game. Everybody just giving blame. Blame and shame. That's a bar. Nobody's giving game. They just giving blame and shame. But it's like, is it because people feel ashamed about that shit themselves? Or whatever the case may be. And then it's like, it gets to where it's like, well, what about the women who, it's a lot of single women who are doing this bashing and shit? A lot of times it is, but I paid attention to who was speaking on it, who was quiet, and then who just didn't give a fuck. You feel me? Who just didn't give a fuck. But like I said, there's a lot of misogyny in that. There's a lot of misogyny in that. Because the words that they have used and the conversations that have been had, whore this, whore that, slut this, slut that. You feel what I'm saying? It kind of, kind of sounds bad. And it kind of looks bad. You feel me? On behalf of the women who are, and then it's like a lot of them are advocates for sisterhood, right? Do you embrace all your sisters? Or just the sisters that fuck with you? That's why I say it has to tie into a religion. Religion creates a cultic system, and it creates a mentality of creating a cultic system. You feel what I'm saying? So it's like, my sisterhood, we're going to talk shit about all of the other women that ain't like us. That's why it's like certain women, I have respect for all women. Certain women I have a higher regard for, and those are the ones who accept each one of their sisters and their sisterhood the way it is. All right, I know you like tricking off. I know you a hot girl. I know you a city girl. I know you're a go-getter. You're this, you're that. They embrace all aspects. But some women don't embrace all of those. You feel what I'm saying? So when it comes to that misogynistic shit, it's littered in women too. Haki, I think that's what feminism is about. Feminism, this is going to be funny. Feminism is like reverse racism. I'm dead ass. I'm not trying to be funny. That was funny, but I'm not trying to be funny. Feminism is like reverse racism. Because feminism is just reverse misogyny. It's reverse misogyny. It's like, men hate us, so we hate men. But in addition to that, you hate the thought process that men have. Not realizing that your feminism is really against an essence. It's not against men. You feel me? But you subject men down to just the gender, so you don't understand the essence. You know what I mean? So you gotta, by not understanding the essence, you automatically equate men to masculinity, and it's not it. what men are operating from, what the world is being ran under is toxic femininity. Nobody wants to talk about that. You dig what I'm saying? Nobody wants to talk about that. So it's like, we'd rather shame somebody about the natural occurrences of life, you know, than educate them on it. You feel what I'm saying? It's like, you know, these women are wrong. They're trash. They trifling. They just say that. You know what I mean? Like I said, I get the men saying the shit. Because a lot of times as men, it's the pussy they can't get. So I got to ask, for the women's aspect of it, is it pussy you can't have? And I don't mean have in the sense of, you know, you're homosexual and you like girls and shit. But I mean, no, let me rephrase that then. Is it pussy you don't possess? Like, you don't have the pussy that you talk about. Oh, I wish I could be liberal. I wish I could go and fuck who I want to fuck and, you know, be able to do that shit. But it's like, no, I created my own moral compass that says, you know, I can't do this and that, because now I'm not on no type time. Like, I don't condone it just out here fucking frivolously, but because it's energy to the shit. You feel me? You taking on a lot of fucked up energies and shit. But like, what about the women who are actively, you know, quote unquote, the whores, but they fucking quality dudes? And their life is because like they're creating positive shit. You feel what I'm saying? Are we talking about them? Are we talking about them? Like, we talking about how, you know, like Cardi B, like when in Cardi's line, like one of my homegirls, she added this shit. I was fucking with her in the cat. I was like, yo, don't add that part because it fucks up the post. But that's my homie and shit. She was like, in the line when Cardi was like, what she said, I don't cook, I don't clean, but I still got the ring. And the post and shit that the motherfucker just put, I don't cook, I don't clean. Didn't finish the whole line and shit. It was like, you know, I've learned that the ultimate goal for a lot of women is the ring. It was very misogynistic when Lil Wayne said it, but it was a reality. You feel me? It may not be everybody's, but it was a reality. He said, these bitches want me like a wedding ring. And I've learned that just to say that they're like, because their worth is validated. But I've seen women in arguments, right? One woman can be getting slayed in an argument off facts and real shit. She just getting her ass whooped. She said, but that's why you still single. Or that's why you ain't married yet. And I got a ring. Whoa. Misogyny. You just told a woman she was worthless because you validate your worth by a ring. You feel me? You validate your worth by a ring. You know what I'm saying? And my thing is this, like, when I was young, I used to fuck with hoes. I used to fuck with whores. You feel me? And I don't mean it in a derogatory, I mean, it's a derogatory word, but I'm not expressing it from a derogatory space because I was always on some shit like I was a fucking whore. I fucked a lot. So I don't want to fuck somebody who's inexperienced. The fuck? Like, the shit? Like, nah, I need to know that you can hang with me. Motherfucker, like, I need to know you can hang with me. If you can't, then what we fucking for? For me, it's no difference than if I'm an entrepreneur, I want an entrepreneur-minded woman. You feel me? You don't necessarily have to be securing the same bags that I'm doing or as many as I'm doing, but you got to have something. You feel me? Our mindset's got to align. So I look at sex the same way. You feel me? We want everything about our spouse, about our significant other, about our mate, about our partner. We want everything to be equal except sex. On one hand, women want a man who's very experienced. He got to know how to make me come. How the fuck you think he's going to know how to make you come? He's got to experience the pussy. He's got to experience it in multiple ways to say, oh shit, this is deep. This is shallow. This is, oh shit, this gets wet. Her lips are big. Her lips are wet. Like, you feel me? Her labia stick out. Like, we need to know these things. You feel me? Women, you know, it's a funny post. It's a funny thought that goes around like, yo, men can't find the clit. How the fuck you think the men who found it? They looked for it. You feel what I'm saying? They knew, all right, I had to be around it enough to know what's what, you know, because you got big clits, you got small clits, you got all kinds, you got clits that like to hide away, you got clits that like to stick out, you got different types. So you have to experience that shit, right? But we want women and men want women to only know our dick or, you know what I'm saying, one dick. It's like, you can't. You can't, like, you feel what I'm saying? It's just, it makes no sense. So then when you get with the, I've been saving myself for this one person all my life, and you get it, and then it's like, yo, your sex is trash. Well, I can be taught. I mean, you can be taught, but it's better for you to have experience. You feel me? Jobs don't give a fuck how qualified you are if you're not experienced. It's the same principle. It's the same principle, yo. So when I get wrapped up in the whole conversation and the dialogues about this horse shit, it's like, do y'all really, really want, like, what is the real problem? You feel me? Cause like, who you fucking don't make me come. So I don't give a fuck. Like, what you're fucking, how much you fuck, all that shit, it's irrelevant to me. You feel what I'm saying? It's like, I think the biggest thing is that some people don't realize that you can turn that shit off. You know what I mean? Like, you can turn that shit off. And when it comes to women, I think, like, women are never supposed to turn it on. You know, women are never supposed to turn it on, whether they're, you know, it's because you're a Proverbs 31 woman or whatever the case may be. Personally, look, here's my thing, right? I think when it comes down to that horse shit, I think it's because low key, as far as from the men's perspective, it's like, yo, I know my dick game whack. And I think the creators of this shit knew that their dick game was whack, and it was like, nah, man, I can't be just, you know, I got to get me a virgin. I got to get me a woman who has no experience, because then she can't gauge me off shit. You know, I've had women say, you know, so many different times, well, I've never had an orgasm, or, you know, the first time I had sex, it was painful. And every other time, like, they give certain things about the first time that they had sex. And it kind of, you know, sets the tone for the rest of reality. And then, you know, they go through different phases and shit, but they never had the experience to go into multiple phases, you know, and to hear women condemn them for the shit and then complain about, like, oh, well, women need to have more conversations about, you know, being open to this. Like, it's cool to be open to sexuality and to desire and to know what you need and know what you want. But how do you know if you don't get it? Like, you feel what I'm saying? Like, how are you knowing if you don't get it? You know, now it's not a good look to just be out here fucking. And this is off of any gender, all 78 of them. This is off of any gender. You feel me? If you want to be fucked good, you have to know what it feels like to be fucked good. You feel what I'm saying? And I'm learning that when it comes to how this horse shit is, I think it's established in off of the premise of, well, it's rappers. It's women speaking as men do, but not women speaking as women do. Because, you know, we like, this whole shit revolves around, like, when I look at it, it's always the female rapper's music that is the one that is so poisonous and, you know, quote unquote, and, you know, so deadly, and the one that everybody wants to, like, it's always, you know, it's Cardi B and Meg, it was motherfucking Lil' Kim, it was fucking Foxy Brown, it was fucking who else was in the Trina, Nicki Minaj, it was these women within that vein who were rappers. But nobody said anything about, you know, Janet Jackson, really. You know, Miss Jackson, if you're nice. Miss Jackson got a whole fucking song, you know, called Would You Mind? Where she's fucking, you know, like the end of that motherfucking song is fucking crazy. It's like, damn, Janet, it's, you ain't, you feel me? Like, but she's singing. It's more melodic. It's more, you know what I mean? Janae Aiko got the Pussy Fairy. I never heard that song, but title. Shit, they go Pussy Fairy. The fuck? The fuck you think a Pussy Fairy is for? If the Tooth Fairy comes for teeth, what? Whatever. I think it's more so the singing part. It's the, well, that's feminine. Okay, we have a natural balance. So how come, so these women embracing the masculine side of their sexuality, It's like, yo, like, fuck that. I want a woman to throw it back sometimes. You feel what I'm saying? I want a woman to throw it back sometimes, not a woman who's just always getting fucked by me. Like, you gotta fuck me too. Now, it's 2020. I hate that I even have to say this or give this disclaimer. But when I say fuck me, I mean fuck me as a woman fucks a man. Come on. Like, I already know how y'all do. You feel me? That's what I mean. Like, yo, throw that ass back. You feel me? You get on top and take control. You show me something. You feel what I'm saying? And that, like I said, those two things, they tie in because we're looking at it solely from the perspective of, like that's the only, when I look at it, that's really the only problem, that they're rapping about it and they're speaking as men. You feel what I'm saying? It's not as poetic. It's not as melodic. It's not as, subjective. It's not as, leave something for your imagination. Like, you know what I'm saying? Beyonce got Drunk in Love. Motherfucking, like, she's literally talking about getting fucked. Fill the bathtub halfway and ride it with my surfboard. Like, the fuck? I don't see the difference in that shit. But nobody puts that as the whore culture stamp. Nobody puts that as that. You feel what I'm saying? It's because they're tapping into the masculine duality of sex for a woman. It's perfectly fine when men, see, the thing about men, we're able to express both our masculine and feminine sides when it comes to sex. Literally, the rappers and the R&B people, they say the same shit. It's just different. It's just because it's more, the singers, the R&B guys are more feminine in their approach to fucking a woman. And the rappers are more masculine in fucking a woman. You know what I mean? And how come we are able to embrace both those dualities comfortably? All right. Look. The markets are not a difficult place to understand. All right. You just have to know what you're looking at. And there's 5 things that you need to see before you can make any market entry. First, you need a pocket so you can know which direction the market is going in. Second, you need a pullback so you can get the better price. Third, you need a battlefield so you can see when that market movement is slowing down. Fourth, you need the upper hand so you can see when the market reactivates. And last, you need a final push so you can see the exact moment when it's time to go with the direction you are already moving in. Okay? Of course, there's so much more that has to go into that, and it's not as cut and dry as that. But those are things that I teach in my Mastering the Market course. So if you would like to learn more, please visit IamJustSing.com and check out the Mastering the Market course today. Although it is directed and specialized for Forex, all of the skills, I crafted them to be transferable to any market that you're looking at. So again, visit IamJustSing.com and check out the Mastering the Market course today if you are truly looking to master the market. Oh yeah, and don't forget, while I still got you, you can use promo code QUARANTINE to save over 90% off of the enrollment of the full price of the course. That is QUARANTINE, CORNTEEN. You know what I'm saying? Because when you look at you look at the Jodeci's, you look at the 112s, you look at the Jagged Edges, you look at motherfucking Omarion, you look at Chris Brown's. Chris Brown goes back and forth, like, you feel me? He's one that goes like, he can talk about fucking a chick, but then he can talk about putting you back to sleep. You feel what I'm saying? Like, it's the same shit, but it's just like one operates from the feminine essence of the sexuality, and the other operates from the masculine essence of the sexuality. Women can only operate from the feminine, and I think that's what it comes to. Women are only able to operate from the feminine essence of their sexuality. That's what's permitted. You feel what I'm saying? Yes. Embrace sexuality. Embrace it 100%. But only do it from this duality. Or this polarity of the duality. Only do it from that. You know what I'm saying? That's when it's good. That's when, you're a woman. Nah, like, you gotta, because you want, it's like the difference between making love and fucking. Fucking is masculine. Making love is feminine. You feel what I'm saying? And so it's like, as long as a woman can talk about the sensual intimacy of it all and shit, and it's like, yo, you're touching me, and I've seen that battle too. Like, some people, well, sensuality and sexuality is not the same. It kind of is. But first, you got to really define sensuality. First, sensuality is something that appeals to the senses. All of them. Sense of touch, sense of smell, sense of sight. Like, to be sensual means you tap into all of that, in the sexual, encounter. You know what I'm saying? People think, oh, it's because it's intimate. It's this. Nah, you got to feel me. You got to taste me. You got to smell me. You're like, all of these things make it sensual. And that's why it's like, you look at Teddy Pendergrass. You feel what I'm saying? He had turn off the lights. That was a sensual experience. That was tapping in from the feminine side. Turn off the lights and light a candle. Because now the candle is gonna appeal to your sense of sight. You feel me? Candles stimulate the pineal gland. To turn off the lights, it reduces that sound, and it because all lights give off a natural hum. But when you take the sound out of it and shit, it makes the sound element that it's appealing to silence. And it creates the intimacy between the person. When you touch each other, when you kiss each other, it's heightening all of that. That's sensual. Fucking ain't sensual. It ain't supposed to be. You feel what I'm saying? Because there has to be a balance in between that shit. The best sexual experiences are the ones that balance and combine sensuality and sexuality. You feel me? The ones where I'm fucking and making love to you at the same time. You feel what I'm saying? Sometimes you get those moments when it's just like, yo, capture this sensual moment right now. Take it slow, don't move. You feel what I'm saying? But then it's like, yo, pound this shit the fuck out. You feel what I'm saying? So it's like, that's what I'm seeing is the biggest problem. Women aren't able to embrace the masculine part of their sexuality. And that's what the fight is about. And I think that's what makes a woman a whore. Oh, you're embracing sexuality, but you're doing it from the masculine side. See, masculine is an essence. Synthesis and construction. Analysis and deconstruction. You feel what I'm saying? Masculine is objective. You feel me? There's no feeling in it. You feel me? And I think that's the problem. Women have been so conditioned to, oh, you guys are just the feelers. No, you guys are thinkers and feelers. You just feel before you think. Just like men are thinkers and feelers, but we think before we feel. And our balance is supposed to be able to come together like that. You feel what I'm saying? But it's like I said, when we put that shit on paper, it's like, it's the only issue is that it's the way it's spoken. It's the way that it's fucking spoken. Look at, like I said, listen to the music, bro. Sis, listen to the motherfucking music. Because art imitates reality. So the permissible shit is, let's make love. Hold me, touch me, cuddle me, and all of this shit. But now you're starting to see women saying, yo, I'm fucking and I'm leaving. Like men do. You know what I mean? I'm not holding you after that shit. Get up and give me a towel, give me a rag so I can wipe off and go. You feel what I'm saying? It's like, it's we blurring the lines. And now that we're seeing women who, men be like, and some women too, but men be like, yo, I'm just fucking. Like, and we want to fuck, but we want that sensual. We want to fuck the sensuality in a woman, not to fuck the sexuality in a woman. Because it's like, damn, that's where they're getting fucked up. That's where we as men are able to hit it and quit it. And women can't, because women are tied into it sensually. They're tied into the sexual experience sensually. And that doesn't make them a hoe. It's like, yo, she put it on me. She this, she was holding me, but I was fucking her brains out. And she's creating an intimate moment out of it. So now you see women have tapped into the masculine side of it where it's objective. You feel me? It's objective. Some are using them for moon rituals and shit. They have objectives with what they're going for. You feel me? They have objectives of what they're going to. They're not paying attention to the fine details anymore. It's just like, yo, fuck them and then come and then I'm out. You dig what I mean? And I think that's the problem. That's where the whole argument comes in. That's what the whole dynamic of all of this is about how women are now embracing the masculine side of it, of sexuality. Nobody wants to talk about that because the masculine side is so ugly, But we're looking also at, we also got to consider, as I was saying earlier, you have toxic femininity that men are operating from. So men technically are not even fucking out of their masculine essence. They're fucking out of a toxic feminine essence, which is what is damaging, because if femininity is about creation and construction, then toxic femininity by default is about destruction. So that's what I'm going to tear the pussy up. I'm going to fuck it. I'm going to kill it. I'm like, all of these word choices that we use when we talk about sex is like, yo, how can we never say I'm going to make this pussy live? Like, I'm gonna kill the pussy when I'm in it. No, I'm gonna make the pussy live. I'm gonna make the pussy thrive. Like, that's my motherfucking goal in the shit. I ain't killing shit. I ain't beating it. I ain't abusing it. I'm not doing nothing. I'm gonna treat that motherfucker right. Cause that's what you're supposed to do. You dig what I'm saying? But in that same regard, that's where I think a lot of, and I know it sounds like I'm contradicting myself, but I'm flowing in conversation because I got to put it in context and perspective. You feel what I'm saying? What women are now doing is embracing that sexual connection from a toxic feminine perspective. They're trying to embrace the masculine, but they're only embracing the masculine as they know masculine presents itself as toxic feminine. You feel what I'm saying? So that's why it's here. I just fuck them and I leave them. Like, no. When you're in your masculine essence and you're fucking, there's not that point of destruction with it. You feel what I'm saying? It's still honoring sex as the creative act. It's just objective with it. You feel what I'm saying? The pussy doesn't get left swollen. You feel what I'm saying? To where it swells shut and you can't get back in it. I don't think people get that. I've heard songs, I've heard music about, got the coochie swollen and shit. I've heard I've even done it a few times in my heyday. It's like, once you get to a point, like you have abused the pussy when it tells you no, you can't get back in it. When it swells shut, you can't get back in it. We feel like that's a good thing, but it's really not. You feel what I'm saying? But it's like, that's what women are embracing. They're embracing the masculine essence. They're trying to embrace the masculine side of their sexuality too, but they only know masculine essence from one perspective, and that's toxic femininity. Until masculinity fully comes back and it's understood thoroughly, then it's like, okay, now here's what you're embracing that. So this is why you get people that are saying women are whores. And then you get women that are saying it too, because also too, women can't accept, there's those women who can and will accept that they need that masculine side too, to their sexuality. And then there's women who can't accept it because they understand subconsciously, whether they put the name to it or not, that it's toxic femininity. It's damaging. It's damaging. And I think that's what is causing them to call women whores. That is what's causing them to be on that time where it's like, yo, you women are acting like men and you women are just disgraceful. You are this, you are that. It's whore culture and all of this shit. It's toxic feminine behavior. It's toxic feminine behavior. You like the way I segued that into this lesson, don't you? But anywho, these are the things that we deal with. And these are the things that this culture is creating. And these are the things that, I'm learning that when it comes to the women, this is what they're speaking against. And this is what they don't like. This is why they can't accept that women are embracing it, because it's a dual nature. It's a dual nature from a lack of understanding of both sides. From both sides. So the women that are in that, misogynistic perspective, where they're speaking as misogynistic men, not realizing why misogyny is a thing, what misogyny roots from, or what misogyny comes from, and they're speaking against women like that, it's because you're speaking against toxic femininity. And toxic femininity is fucked up and is wrong because the physical manifestation is showing right now within the sex realm. You know what I mean? You watch porn and you see the toxic feminine sex. You think that's masculine sex, but it's toxic. Like, these women can't, like, come on, bro. Like, the average vagina is like 5 to 6 inches deep. Ain't no way in hell she's really taking 11 inches. That shit's crazy. You feel what I'm saying? So women talk about they want a big dick, and our only expression of how they want a big dick is what we see in porn. You feel what I'm saying? What we see in porn. And when we're watching that shit, we see these motherfuckers killing her. It's like you're sticking a whole forearm in that motherfucker. And we hear these women screaming and shit. And a lot of times they're not screaming out of pleasure. It's out of excruciating pain. You feel what I'm saying? And then we get to, well, pain is pleasure if they don't like, I've had sexual encounters when I was young, and it was like, yo, it hurts. I'm going to stop. No, but it feels good. It can't. No, because pain is pleasure. It's like, it hurts, but it feels good too. No, it's not supposed to. It's not supposed to. It shouldn't be painful. Sex shouldn't be painful. It's a pleasurable experience. Something's off when pain kicks in. Something's off when pain kicks in. You feel what I'm saying? And I guess the dynamic of where we're dealing with and what's shaping this reality now is the lack of understanding. The lack of understanding. So now we're getting into these conversations. We're getting into these debates about women being whores, women being hoes, and women just not having their shit together and all of this other nut shit. It's stupid, because how are you supposed to actually have a good sexual experience and a good sexual encounter if you don't embrace all sides of your sexuality? Both sides of the shit, the masculine and the feminine. You feel what I'm saying? But I think too, the teaching needs to be about the understanding of what the masculine, about what sexual energy is masculine wise. Because of how we perceive sexual, like when we perceive sex as a whole, we have experienced it as, understanding it from the men's perspective. You feel what I'm saying? And that's how it has to be embraced. But like I said, men are operating from an essence of toxic femininity, not masculinity. So you're not even really embracing masculine sex. You're embracing toxic feminine sex. And your sensual essence is battling that. And I think subconsciously women know that. And women know, this is what they're advocating against. Stop condoning this behavior, because this ain't right. It's not. It's not right from the essence perspective. But the understanding of the masculine energy is right. You're supposed to embrace both of those aspects in your sexual experience. In your sexuality, you have to embrace both sides. It's like, this is in essence, I feel like why twerking is so bad, why motherfuckers look at the way, the sensual dancers and the melodic dancers move, because it's like, damn, that's just cold. If you really look at it on paper, if you look at it to the core, they are tapping into simultaneously both of those energies. Because when a motherfucker, what Two Shirt said, he said, I bet she can't do it with a dick in her. You feel me? But if she can do it with a dick in her, she's fucking you. Like, I'm telling you, like when a woman is, she's on top and she's bouncing it, she's fucking you. She's using her masculine side, her masculine energy of her sexual experience at that point. You feel what I'm saying? Because masculinity is about giving. The feminine energy is receiving. You feel me? It's the receiving end of that. So now she's tapping into the giving part. She's now tapping into the giving part. And it's when you're operating from the toxic feminine energy, it's about taking. It's about taking. So when we look at that culture too, we have to look at it like that. Like, think about sex. Like, what do they call the position when a man is on top of a woman? Missionary. That has its own levels to the shit. And I missionary sex is, it's a bittersweet thing, because its inception is not good. From the title of what it's called and different things of that nature, like being on top of a woman is a sexual, you're supposed to have sex like that, but because it's a position. However, where it came from and how it got this title was never a good thing. It was rape. Now, I'm not saying when you on top, you're automatically raping a woman. Don't give me that. I'm not on that shit. I'm speaking of when missionaries, it's called missionary for a reason, because missionary sex was given by missionaries who raped the people when they came over with their religions and took over the land. That's why it's called missionary sex. You were holding the woman down and she couldn't do anything. You can't rape a woman if she's on top of you. Why? Because she can get up. You dig what I'm saying? She can get up. And when the missionaries were coming over here, and they were going to all of these different lands, that's how they were taking the women. They were raping them. So it was, like I said, when you see that the masculine side of the energy is about about giving. If you're operating from a toxic feminine perspective, you're going to be taking. Right? So imagine if femininity is about receiving and masculinity is about giving, but then now what we perceive as masculinity is taking. You're taking from something that is supposed to be receiving from you. So now do you see why women don't come? It gets deep. But the layers and the levels to where this shit is at is more so going back to the misogynistic women part. Like I said, I love these impromptu joints because I never know what the fuck is about to come out. But so when The women have, labeled as whore culture. Like, what are you really speaking against? You feel me? Because we got to know what we're talking about. It's good to spew out details and throw all of this other shit, like, you feel me? But what are we really speaking about? We're speaking about women saying, I'm embracing my sexual energy, but my sexual energy is only going to be embraced from toxic femininity and healthy femininity, not femininity and masculinity. You feel me? That's why the lyrics are so bad. That's why it's like, yo, I fuck him, then I leave. I fuck him, he paid me for this, I dislike that. It's like, yo, it comes off as prostitution in a sense. Like, it's gotta be some kind of exchange because it's taking. You feel me? You're taking it. You're taking from me. You feel what I'm saying? And that is what that energy brings. That is what that sexual energy brings. That is what it brings. And I think that's the problem women have with it. That's the problem with women who have a problem. That's the problem women have who have a problem with it. If I said that right. Yeah. That's the problem women have with it who have a problem with it. Because if this culture continues this way, it's not producing viable fruit as it should. You dig what I'm saying? So it's not so much as getting in a position where you're shaming, because if you understand chakras, to shame, when you put shame on something, you fuck with its personal identity. Because in order to shame is internalized guilt, right? So you throw these guilt things out at people and then they internalize that. So when you say this is whore culture, you're making them feel guilty for a natural occurrence that happens within their life, but they don't understand that because they don't understand it. They're like, okay, I should feel guilty for that. So whatever stigmas, whatever religions, whatever different perspectives are placed into their mentality is going to allow them to feel guilty. Once you internalize guilt, you feel shame. Shame blocks your solar plexus chakra, and your solar plexus chakra energy is about your personal identity. So it fucks up who you really are. You feel what I'm saying? So now when women get horny and shit, when they get that tingle and they want to get some, they just get wet for no reason. They feel bad. Not realizing, this is supposed to happen. You can get triggered by a man's pheromones. He could walk past you and then you can smell his scent. You feel me? Not his cologne. I mean, his natural pheromonic scent. Like, that shit comes out of him and exudes, and you can, that shit could turn you the fuck on. And when it turns you on, your pussy drip. Your WAP forms. You get your WAP. You feel me? Or you get the way. That's the one I'm gonna start using, the way. The wet ass yoni. That's the way. Hey, yo, that shit is cold too, yo. It's a dope play on words. But that shit is cold. It ain't the WAP, it's the way. Because it is the way when you actually really think about it. Like, you feel me? Nothing can enter and exit this. Like, yo, that shit is dope. The way. But anyway, there I go again. Anyway. But when you, damn, that shit made me forget what I was saying. When you look at that dynamic and you see where it is that the women are battling, like, that's what it is. It's the misunderstanding of that perspective of they're embracing toxic feminine sexual energy as opposed to masculine energy. And you're trying to shame them for it, which alters their personal identity. And you're like, people don't give a fuck. And it's like, well, these people don't care, they wrong, because these people's personal identity is established already. It's like, what's she saying? I'm a big old freak, like big booty, big old freak or some shit like that. You feel me? But it's like, we have always been able to put, for men, both sides to it. I can make love and I can fuck you. Women can only make love. So when a woman is fucking, she's bad. She's a Jezebel. She's a harlot. She's a whore. Like, this shit has been going on for years, for millennia, since religion's inception. At some point, we got to realize that, when did it become that? Oh, you can't fuck me back. Why? Because it's going to make me come. Like, the fuck? No. And then now some of us we can't hang anymore in our own masculine side anymore, because it gets too, it loses that fire. You feel me? It loses that fire. But the purpose in all of this shit was mainly going towards how the the feminine side, how the feminine polarity is shunned for embracing sexuality. Because like I said, you're only supposed to embrace one side. Because it's literally rap lyrics. I've seen the old heads talk about it's the rap lyrics. Like, so it makes me wonder. So they're saying that the the um the um the rappers are going to have more influence than the R&B singers. I don't think that's the case, because the R&B singers naturally have more connection because it's feminine essence for the sex that they're talking about. Nobody talks about that shit. You feel me? We still like the Janet Jackson, Anytime, Any Places. Like, we still like those. You know? Anybody, like, think about this. Like, you can sing I Don't Care Who's Watching. And we're not going to stop just because the people in the crowd are watching us, because I don't give a damn what they say. I want it now. You feel what I'm saying? Because it's sung. It's more feminine. It's sultry. You feel me? But for a woman to come out and say, I'll fuck anywhere. Like, I'm trying to fuck anywhere. What's the difference? What's the difference? It's the presentation. It's the inability for women to embrace the masculine perspective. But like I said, the masculine perspective is tainted with toxic feminine energy. So it's going to come off raunchy. It's going to come off nasty. It's going to come off ugly. But it would have did that anyway, because women are only supposed to be feminine in their sexual experience, not masculine. They're not supposed to be the ones who are going to be the givers of the shit. You feel me? That's what be getting me though. Cause it's like, I think high key, a lot of women don't understand that either. Because even something as simple as women, I shot my shot, and then you still got to do all of the work. No, that's like, you feel what I'm saying? It's the same as women say, I want to have sex, right? A woman will initiate the shit, you know, she'll put a butt on you while y'all trying to go to sleep. You feel me? Little shit like that. She'll initiate the sex, you know, which is masculine energy. You know, as me giving, she'll give it, but then that's it. Everything after that now shifts back to you being the dude, or, you know what I'm saying, that has to, you know, fuck her or have sex with her, make love to her. You feel me? That's when it switches. You know, women they can initiate it, but they cannot go any further than that part when it comes to the masculine side. You feel what I'm saying? They cannot go any further from that perspective. It's like, you can't embrace that. So the moment you do decide that you're going to embrace that side, you're a whore. You're nasty. You're all of that. And, you know, high key, I'm not trying to be funny and say this is what it is, because, you know, some people say they were born like this. Some people, you know, whatever. But I think that's why a lot of women have fucked with women and do fuck with women, because they can be the giver freely. You feel what I'm saying? They can literally be the giver freely. It's hard to be the giver in that regard when you don't embrace the masculine essence, because that man now has to be the receiver. Okay, like, I'm keeping the buck with you. Like, I don't mind the woman fucking me too. Like, I'm gonna get mine in, but yeah, put it on me. Like, you feel me? Show me some different shit. You feel me? And the women that I've experienced that have had that, you know, quote unquote whore life, the ones that, like, they knew how they knew more positions than just being on top, where they were in control of the situation. I love that shit. I was like, whoa, feel me? Whoa. And see, it helps because I ain't say it helps, but then going into other experiences and shit, and it's like taking that, it's like, yo, hey, look, shorty, I need you to do this. I need you to just move like this. It's like, I don't know. Like, and that's when you start to get those quote unquote modest ones who don't, like, no, you're never going to learn how to throw it back if you don't throw it back. And don't forget to take a moment to go get your exclusive merchandise from Just Scenes merch. At Just Scenes, each piece is specifically crafted with positive imagery and symbolism. From the titles and designs to the descriptions, each style gives you something to feel great about. With everything from hoodies and tees to coffee mugs and tote bags, we have something for the entire family. So be sure to get yours today. Find us on Instagram at Just Scenes merch and get your merchandise right now. But yeah, all of that was, I'm gonna go ahead and try to wrap it up. All of that was just to bring light to what I feel is the reason why women are attacking women on that, is because women collectively don't embrace the masculine side of the sexualities or the sensualities or the sexual experience as a whole. It's only from the feminine perspective. And when she does embrace the masculine side, you know, it gets ugly. You know, and like I said, it's even deeper than that, because what we think is masculine ain't masculine, it's toxic feminine. So it's like, I think somehow innately and subconsciously and really on a deep level, they know that that's not right. And that's what they like, yo, that's not good energy. So that's why I feel like they come off with the misogynistic point of, you know, well, these women are whores, these women is bitches, these women is this. They sound just like the same dudes that condemn them. You feel what I'm saying? And I've noticed too, when it comes to the dudes that really condemn and talk shit about women, those are the dudes who get fucked by women. And I'm not talking about like with straps or anything like that. Like, I hate that I got to give these disclaimers, but I know how motherfuckers' minds go and shit. Like, it's almost like I just seen this motherfucking post. This is completely irrelevant, but it is. I seen this post where this little baby was sitting in front of a car. It was a car ad or some shit, and the little baby was sitting in front of a car eating a banana. And they was like, they had to remove the ad because they said it was had sexual connotations in it. I said, any motherfucking body who saw a little 2-year-old eating a banana has problems. That has nothing at all to do with the ad itself. That has everything to do with the person looking at the motherfucking. It's like, I used to when I was in undergrad, like when I used to go to the calf and shit, if one of my homies and shit was going up to go get some more food, and I ain't feel like getting up, I'm like, yo, bro, grab me a hot dog. Pause. What? Pause, man. You said grab me a hot dog. Right, nigga, grab me a hot dog, bro. I want a fucking hot dog. You feel me? Pause, man, pause. No. I don't have to pause. I'm thinking about a hot dog. You're thinking about a dick. You need to pause. That ain't get like that's I don't get wrapped up in that pause shit because I don't say gay shit. Like I never really understood that shit. I'm like, that's a pause moment. I didn't say anything gay. You had a gay thought after what I said. So who does that really fall on? Me or you? You feel what I'm saying? I've been in subways where motherfuckers would be like, yo, let me get a 6-inch, no homo. But you're talking about a sub. So you looked at that sub and you thought about a dick. Okay, I see why you got to say no homo, bro. You know, I get it. I get you. You feel what I'm saying? But that's a quick sidebar. The purpose in that was to show like people over-sexualize the shit, and you know. But in the grand scheme of it all, we have collectively fucked up our psyches. So now women can't embrace this, you know. Now, I'm not 100, like I get it. I'm against it in the regard that I get that you're trying to talk about the double standard that men have, but what is the double standard? It's not just about men being able to fuck. What essence are they exuding and they tapping into when we're doing toxic feminine energy? We're not tapping into it from the masculine side. And we got to stop. In order for us to truly understand masculinity, first we have to separate it from men. First we have to separate it from that, because then we automatically assume that what the man is exuding as toxic femininity is masculinity, and it's not. You feel what I'm saying? So sexuality as a core, as an energy, as a power, it is supposed to be experienced and lived both through the duality of femininity and masculinity, giving and receiving. You feel what I'm saying? So the women that are embracing it, you have to understand that you are not embracing the masculine side of sex. You're embracing the toxic feminine side of sex. That's why it comes out. The art imitates the reality. That's why it comes out as these things. You feel what I'm saying? As men, we got to understand that we're toxic. We're doing the toxic energy expression of it, not necessarily the masculine energy. You feel what I mean? And because it's been tied to men, that's what we think the masculine side is. And it's not. You dig what I mean? It's not. So that dynamic has to be, you know, addressed and paid attention to. So I understand why women say, okay, this is whore culture. This is, you know, it's destructive. Why is it destructive? Because it's toxic feminine. You feel what I'm saying? It's toxic feminine. The permissible side is when only women are able to be feminine in their sexuality. And by that, I mean, as far as, the sensual part, the sultry part, the more melodical, the more subjective, the more emotional. You feel what I'm saying? For masculine, the sex is supposed to be rational. You feel what I'm saying? Masculine energy. But you're supposed to have both of those. That's why it be getting on my nerves when people be like, yo, dudes don't have attachments when they fuck. Yes, we do. We just don't, because we never learned how to deal with our emotions and shit. And we never learned how to fully express them. We can't say that, yo, the pussy made me feel like this. This is why the term pussy whipped is a thing, because that shows that you were in your emotional state when you had that connection, not just your rational state. It was never just pussy. Like, it was a whole being. It was a human connection. You feel what I'm saying? And that's how it tied. Like, women have been so conditioned that your sex has to be emotionally driven. It has to be emotionally driven. So you defaulted to being emotional. So then when the hot girls come on the scene, when the city girls and when that comes onto the scene, then it becomes the problem, because it's like, oh my gosh, these women are raunchy. No, they're using a permitted duality that they're supposed to use with sex. It just so happens to be the wrong essence, the wrong form of that essence, and the wrong appearance. But yeah, women are supposed to tap into the masculine too. Some of the greatest experiences, sexual experiences that I've had with women are when we were both able to use both simultaneously. It wasn't just me fucking her from the masculine, her fucking me from the feminine. It was like, and then we were able to walk away from it cool. Like, we didn't have any jealousies, insecurities, or anything like that, or anything, because we merged both rational and emotional. You feel what I'm saying? Rational and emotional. When women say, I just want to fuck unattached, you have to learn how to tap into your rational sexual experience, your masculine sexual experience, in order to do that. But women are conditioned to have sex emotionally. That's why I've always wondered, like, when I used to talk about celibacy to women, they'd be like, oh my gosh, how do you do it? It's like, I can't go that long. It is because I learned when I first started fucking, it was always from a toxic feminine perspective. Period. Like, that's really what it was. So there was never any attachment to it or any connection. But then once I started to have sex masculinely, like from the masculine energy, I was able to do it rationally. So I can literally be like, yo, this is what we're doing. We're not going to cross the line. And I had to show them how to have sex with me from the masculine perspective. You feel me? Still tap into the feminine, give to be the receiver of, healthily, all that shit. But I had to show them. That's why when they say, can you have sex with your friends? I've never had sex with any of my intimate, like my closest friends. I never had sex with any of them. But I've had sex with friends. Where it's just like, yo, let's see where this goes. I mean, we knew that we're just talking about sex, not building on a relationship and shit. But that's how I was able to do that shit. And people were like, yo, how are you able to just be celibate like that? I just can't do it. I think because you have the emotional attachment to it. And that goes back to what I was saying with men. We had the emotional attachment to it. That's how we get whipped and all that shit, because we don't have rational sex. We have emotional sex, which is us using our feminine essence in it. You dig what I mean? So this is why we get stuck, we get hooked and all of that shit. But it's when you're able to do it from the rational side, the masculine side, the true masculine side, not the toxic feminine side, the true masculine side, you're able to detach and not be connected to it, and that's one of the hardest hiccups that women have when it comes to, practicing celibacy, and why it gets so hard, because you have the emotional attachment. You never had rational sex. You're never taught to have rational sex. You're taught to have emotional sex. Make it all about him. Put your love into it. No, sometimes you don't have to. That's why y'all be getting fucked over by fuckboys sometimes. Y'all be and the fuckboy isn't inherently bad. He is bad, but he isn't inherently bad off of the strength that he is rationally fucking you. And you're trying to emotionally fuck him or emotionally connect to him, and he has no emotional connection to you. You dig what I mean? So your sex is not going to be emotional. So now you're hooked to this motherfucker who I now need to go rationally fuck with another woman, or that's one of the core principles of how polygamy is going to work. How polygamy works. It's the understanding of both of those. These two women have to understand that they cannot be emotionally bound to me sexually. They have to rationally be bound to me. And I definitely cannot be emotionally bound to them. or to one over the other. No, I have to rationally be bound to both of them because I have to be able to say, no, neither one of you are greater than the other. You dig what I mean? But if you don't understand those aspects, you don't need to be living and tapping into a life that you don't need to be trying to experience right now. You know what I mean? But that's lessons and lessons in lessons. But the ultimate goal and the ultimate purpose of this entire podcast was about misogynistic women, because I think like I said, the biggest problem is that the biggest problem in this expression of this whore culture shit is, one, the lack of understanding of the duality between sexual energy, and two, the principle that women have not been able to explore their masculine side of their sexual experiences. You feel what I'm saying? And that's where it gets lost. That's where it gets lost. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's, you know, and that's why intimate relationships that are, you know, committal, and you're into that one person, that's why cheating hurts so bad. Because it's like, I wasn't rationally connected to you. I was emotionally connected to you, and you went and broke that, probably with another emotional attachment. So that's why they say, like, when women cheat, it's worse, because you know that a woman had that emotional connection to it, because y'all are taught to only operate from the feminine essence when it comes to sex. Now, this is not me saying in any way, shape, or form, go cheat, but do it rationally. No, hell no. I'm not saying no shit like that. Fuck that. Don't cheat. That's not a good look. Leave that person alone if you feel like you got to step out. Don't just dabble and try to run the risk that, hey, maybe if I just do it rationally, I can come back and nobody will know. No. Women still have that emotional. Women have been wired to only operate sexually, emotionally. So you're not going to be able to do that. And for my brothers, just because we're wired to do it rationally, don't go do it. Why? Because we're still only under the premise that we are toxic. We are doing it from the toxic feminine perspective. You feel me? Which causes destruction. This is why when a fallout happens, the first thing the women do, because now you're transferring the energies, right? Your sexual energy that you're transferring is toxic feminine. Why you think these women want to attack each other when they see each other? Why you think after the sex is done and shit, she busts the windows out of your car and flatten your tires? You have put destructive energy in her. Oh, it's like magic, right? You feel me? We do this shit. But again, I don't want to deviate from the real topic at hand. You know, this raunchy shit, this horse shit, all of that shit, not horse, but like this whore shit is more rooted in that lack of understanding, and that misunderstanding of what the sexual energy is and what it is to truly embrace it. And like I said, coming into, you know, the women culture saying, okay, now it's time to embrace sexuality. Please stop encouraging the sisters and stop encouraging them to just embrace sexuality without knowing and fully comprehending both dualities of the sexual energy. You feel what I'm saying? Because that is how we end up bitching and complaining about women becoming whores. Because what are you actually trying to tap into? Oh, you're trying to be like men. But what essence are they exuding? I've been saying this for a long time, especially with the feminist movement, with a lot of the shit that's happened. You know, women want equality to men. First off, the universe never designed us equal. You know, call me what you want, but the universe didn't make us equal. It made us to harmonize with one another. We're not equals. Men are not equal to women. Women are not equal to men. Period. We can argue that we're equal, but we're not. That's why when equality kicks in, equality means the same. So you're fighting for equality with men, but what are you fighting for? Because if men are actively using collectively the toxic feminine energy, you're fighting to be equal with toxic feminine energy. Do you not see how it's just a matter of time before these women transition? Pay attention to the feminist movement. The longer a woman sits in the feminist movement, the more she starts to act like the very men that she's against. You feel what I'm saying? Just in a woman form. You feel me? It's never about, because equality is never about the harmony that our essences and our energies are supposed to naturally do. It's about equality to the energy that is running right now. And that energy happens to be toxic femininity. So when women become, you know, and they become equal with men, when they reach that peak where they become equal with those men, what happens? They start to exude toxic feminine energy. You feel me? So that's why they get wrapped up in, oh, it's a double standard and this, that, and the third. It's not a double standard. You feel me? Because it's all wrong. But the problem is that as women, you're exuding toxic feminine energy. You're not exuding healthy feminine energy because there is no healthy feminine energy coming from men. What you guys are trying to say is masculinity with us is not. It's toxic feminine energy. So when you become equal to us, what do you give off? What are you going to give off? And now it's like, why don't I mesh with men? You'll never mesh with a masculine man because a masculine man is going to take that toxic feminine energy right the fuck out of you. And it's going to fuck you up because you're not going to know what the fuck is happening to you. Oh my gosh, I'm just changing. You make my essence fit. Like women say they want to be in their feminine essence until they actually get in that motherfucker and they never had the chance to experience it for real. I'm not bragging. I'm not trying to be on no, mightier than now type shit. But once I started to understand masculine energy and I started to exude it a lot more, every relationship that I've been in, we never really had relationships, but every woman that I encountered since that point, I started to really understand masculine energy as a whole. And I broke it down and started to, really tap into myself around 2013, 14-ish, right? The relationships that I've had and the interactions that I had, the women would cry with me. Like not with me, like we crying together, but it's like they would cry when they were like, yo, you're making me feel like, and it would be some quick shit. It'd be like, we'll be having a conversation. This is intimate friends, platonic friends, or whatever. When we're having these regular conversations, they're like, I don't cry in front of people. How the fuck am I crying from you? Like, that I used to be on that shit where they used to be like, well, I don't usually do this, but it's like, it's different. I'm making a joke right now, but it's different like that because it's like, there has not been a woman who I've had communicated with who did not start crying just around me. And I used to be like, yo, why the fuck is she crying? I understand now because my masculine energy, it automatically makes her feminine energy shine. It just comes through. She has no need to be toxic. She has no need to let that toxic energy show to combat mine because my toxic energy is gone. I don't have it. I have switched my toxic feminine energy to masculine energy. And when it just happens. And so when we're talking, they'd be like, I gotta go. Like I remember I was talking to one young lady and we were on FaceTime and we were talking about something deep or whatever the case may be. And it's just like, I just let that masculine essence just come out and she let her feminine essence come out and then she started crying. She's like, I gotta go. I was like, what? She said, I'm not supposed to be crying. Right? I was like, it just happens. Like, you feel me? You're healing and you're going through some shit. And that's what this energy naturally does for you. It analyzes and deconstructs so you can synthesize a construct. It breaks shit down for you to rebuild it. And it just so happened that tears came because your soul had to release some shit. You feel what I'm saying? But this has been happening. Like every woman that I've encountered since that point, since understanding this, it happens. Now granted, I'm not saying I do this on purpose, do this to gloat or anything like that. I just expect it to happen. I know it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. When we have these conversations, it's like, and I can see when that feminine energy comes back out and it's a fucking beautiful thing. And it creates that realm for women to actually be. But in women being, they have learned to embrace their sexuality. However, what they have to do, and sister circles, if you lead in these motherfuckers, whatever the case may be, if you're encouraging women to embrace their sexuality, please encourage them to embrace both sides, but understand masculine energy. Stop allowing them to embrace toxic feminine energy because that's when you get these arguments about being disgraceful in whore culture because we know toxic feminine energy is not good. We know it's not good, but that's what men are leading through. And that's what women are trying to copy and emulate in their quest for equality. We'll never be equal. We'll never be equal. We need to harmonize. We need to harmonize with one another and create that harmony to allow the natural essences to move accordingly. And then that's when you'll see an quote unquote equality and a utopian world that it's supposed to be in because now men are using their masculine essence and it's automatically allowing their counterparts' feminine essence to be healthy. But when you have us as men naturally exuding toxic feminine energy, the woman's energy has to be combative with that. It has to be combative with that. So when we say shit like, I just seen a post the other day about the reason why you single is because you act like a nigga. You feel me? So then what does that act like? You feel me? Because our essence is toxic feminine. So when you act toxic, it's going to clash. It doesn't work. It battles each other. Somebody has to win. That's why women have to submit to men. That's where the whole conceptualization is, because my toxic feminine energy, I'm not losing that shit. I'm not changing it. I'm not just going to tap into my masculine and just put the shit down. I'm going to use my toxic feminine energy. You're going to use your feminine energy. Somebody has to win. You have to submit to mine. Let mine reign supreme over yours. Masculine energy does not require feminine energy to submit to it. It doesn't need to. Because the positions will naturally have a natural osmosis, and the positions will be played as they're supposed to be. You dig what I mean? Be played as it's supposed to be. So when you're going into these embracing sexuality, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. So now there's the contradictory part, because I'm all for it and I get what it's doing, what women are trying to do. But now that we have that established, what women are trying to do by embracing the sexuality, now you need to understand what you're supposed to be embracing and what you're not embracing and what you are embracing right now. You feel me? This embracing of the sexuality and shit, this whore culture is not about, is what has happened and what has been created with women trying to use their the masculine side of their sexual energy, but they're using toxic feminine energy. You feel me? Toxic feminine energy that they're getting from men. They're seeing men exhibit on a regular basis. You feel what I mean? So we got some work to do as people. We got some work to do as Black folks. And I wanted this conversation done this way because every time there's something that's in the world that we know affects us, we have to, as y'all always say, we have to peel back the layers and shit. So when we peel back the layers, we can see what the undercurrent is and what the principle is and how to actually solve this problem. We could just talk about the details. We could change as many details as we want, but if we can't get to the root, if we can't get to the source of why this shit is happening and why this shit is a reality, it'll change. It won't be understood properly. You dig what I'm saying? So now, bring it all full circle. When I have a daughter and they say, well, when she listens to this music, my daughter will understand that her sexual energy has 2 points to it. When I have the sex talk with my kids, I'm going to teach them both sides. I'm going to teach them how to understand their sexual energies as a whole. So my daughters will understand the difference between the toxic feminine expression, and they're also going to understand the difference, and they're going to understand the masculine essence. They're going to understand these things so well that they're going to know, okay, this is not healthy. This is not good. Good to embrace your sexuality, but this is not the positive direction for that. This is going to give me destruction. You feel me? And that's going to what helps them. You know what I'm saying? So if my daughters listen to this music, I really wouldn't care, because I would already have planted the seed so deeply within them and so well and nurtured it so motherfucking well. I don't give a fuck what happens. You can't remove that. You're not going to be able to remove that. It's going to be there. You feel me? But now if I just try to condemn them and, don't be a fast little girl. Well, what is a fast little girl? What are these things? Like, if I just do that shit, they'll never understand life. And then when they go out into the world, they'll never be able to learn how they're supposed to learn or have the impact or have life impact them the way it's supposed to. They would just be influenced by life. You dig what I'm saying? Sons too, they're going to know that, yo, bro, this world is built on our sexuality being toxic feminine. I'm not going to allow you to do that. I'm not going to allow your sexual experiences to be understood that way. You dig what I'm saying? So that full scope is just where I wanted to stand with that. That is where I wanted to express, because it's definitely a good dialogue we need to have. I love the argument, but see, with every argument, with every debate, you have to get something out of it. You have to get something out of it. You cannot just fuss. You feel me? You just cannot fuss. We have to figure out what the root cause of this shit is. So whore culture, the people that are out there going against it, still stand your ground. You feel what I'm saying? If you want to embrace sexuality and you want to be in the whole culture, stand your motherfucking ground. But understand what the fuck it is that you're dealing with, what the fuck it is that you're playing with, and what the fuck it is that you're supposed to be operating from. You dig what I mean? And then when you get that, then you can embrace sexuality fully. You feel what I'm saying? You can embrace sexuality fully from the masculine, the true feminine essence. Because none of this shit will really transpire after that. But I'm going to leave it at that. Go listen to WAP. Go listen to Anytime, Any Place. And you'll see that in essence, they saying the same shit. One is just feminine, it's sexuality from the feminine essence, emotionality, sensuality. And then the other one is just from the masculine essence. What we understand that masculine essence as is being exhibited now is really toxic femininity. It's just fucking and taking from people, not giving. You feel me? It's not giving. So, I think that's about it for this one. As always, be sure to follow me on Instagram at _just_sing_. Visit my website, iamjustsing.com, to get all things that are Just Sing, my courses, my books, my merch, and chatting with Sing. If you would like to book a session where, we talk, dissect things, break things down, whatever the case may be, you can book a session and we can, powwow. Much appreciation to everyone who tips, donates, and sponsors. If you would like to tip, donate, and sponsor, you can do so by clicking the link in the description of your podcast channel station. And that's about it. As always, be sure to kiss your babies. Make sure they eat their vegetables. And when it comes to sexuality, learn to teach them both dynamics of our sexual energies being masculine and feminine, and teach them under the true expression of what masculinity is and a true expression of what femininity really is. And then you'll be able to have the good sex talk with them on all levels, not just stay protected, don't get pregnant, and watch out for STDs. No, you need to teach them all levels, the mental, the spiritual, the mental, the physical, and the spiritual, all of these different dynamics, because that is the full capacity to it. So as always, I love y'all, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. I'm out.